So basically, the FOIL method helps you multiply polynomials. So let's look at a first example. So FOIL means first, outer, inner, and last. So first, let's multiply the variables here. X times x is x to the second power. Now let's multiply the outer number, which is 2. X times 2 is 2x. And now let's multiply in. 3 times x is positive 3x, and 3 times 2. And last, let's multiply 3 times 2, which is positive 6. Let's go ahead and let's look for like terms. Positive 2x and positive 3x are like terms. So let's add 2 plus 3 is 5, and we will keep the same variable. This is our final answer. Here's another example. So let's multiply x times x squared. Now multiply x times 1, which will be positive x. Now negative 4 times x will be negative 4x, and negative times a positive gives you negative 4. Let's go ahead and let's look for like terms. Positive x and negative x. So we'll end up with a negative 3x, and let's write a constant over here, and this is our final answer. Alright, go ahead and now try these two problems by yourself. You can pause the video and you can check your answers after. Let's go ahead and use the FOIL method. 2x times x. That's 2x to the second power. 2x times positive 3. That's positive 6x. Negative 5 times x will be negative 5x, and negative times a positive is negative 15. Let's find our like terms. These two are like terms. So we will have 2x to the second power, and we will have positive 1x, or simply x minus 15 as our final answer. Alright, so first let's multiply 3x times 4x. So we are multiplying these two numbers first. 3 times 4 is 12, and we add the exponents whenever we multiply. So that will be x to the second power. Now 3x times negative 1 will be negative 3x. Now positive 2 times 4x will be positive 8x, and positive times a negative will give you a negative 2. Let's go ahead now and let's look for like terms. Negative 3x and positive 8x are like terms. So we will end up with 5x. Simply rewrite the constant over here, and this is your final answer. Now let's use the FOIL method with a binomial and a trinomial. X times x to the second power will be x to the third power. Now x times x will be x to the second power, and x times positive 1 will be x. Next is 2 times x squared, which will be 2x to the second power. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 1 will be 2. Let's look out for like terms. When we try to look for like terms, you always find the same variable with the same exponent. So over here, these two have the same variable and the same exponent, so we can go ahead and we can add them. That is 3x to the second power. Now here's another one, x and 2x, which will be positive 3x, and the constant over here, let's rewrite it, and this is our final answer. All right, let's practice another example. Let's multiply 2x times x squared, which will be 2x to the third power. Now multiply 2x times negative x, which will give you negative 2x to the second power. Now 2x times 4 will be positive 8x. Now negative 1 times x to the second power will be negative x to the second power. Now negative times a negative, that's positive x. And negative times a positive will give you negative 4. Let's go ahead and let's look for like terms. Here we have a like term. Over here we have another like term. This one is like term with this one. And this is just a constant. So negative 2x squared minus x squared. We will add these two negative numbers. So we will end up with negative 3x to the second power. Now 8 plus 1 is 9x. And then we rewrite negative 4, the constant over here. This is our final answer. Now you may pause the video and try this problem by yourself. Let's go ahead and solve it. X times 2x to the second power is 2x to the third power. X times x will be positive x to the second power. X times negative 5 will be negative 5x. Negative 3 times 2x squared will be negative 6x squared. Negative 3 times x will be negative 3x, and the negative times the negative will be positive. Let's go ahead and let's look out for the like terms. 2x cubed, we don't have any like terms, so now x to the second power, and I will circle it with the sign beside it, x to the second power. So basically we are adding negative 6x to the second power plus x to the second power. So negative 6 plus 1 will be negative 5x to the second power. Now negative 5x to the first power, we have a like term over here. So now let's add these two like terms. So basically we're adding negative 5 plus negative 3. That will be negative 8x. We keep the same variable, we don't change it. And finally we just rewrite the constant over here. This is our final answer. Now what about this problem over here? So basically this format is similar to the previous problems. The only difference is that we have the trinomial over here and we have the binomial over here. So let's go ahead and let's distribute 2x squared times 2x to the second power. So that will be 2x to the fourth power. We add the exponents when we multiply variables. 2x squared times 3 will be positive 6x to the second power. Now negative x times x squared will be negative x cubed. Negative x times 3 will be negative 3x. Positive 4 times x squared will be positive 4x to the second power, and 4 times 3 will be 12. Now let's look out for like terms. So this one we don't have any like terms. Let's look out for the same variable and the same exponent, x squared and x squared over here. Now let's add 6 plus 4, which will be 10 x to the second power. Whenever we add or subtract, we keep the variable and the exponent the same. Now what about x to the third power? We don't have any like terms, so let me rewrite it over here. And for this one, we also don't have any like terms, so let's rewrite it over here as well as the constant. Now let me simply arrange this from the highest power to the lowest power. So we will have 2x to the fourth. This one will be negative x to the third power plus 10x to the second power minus 3x plus 12. So this way is arranged from highest power to lowest power. Now let's use a FOIL method to multiply trinomials. Let's try to multiply two trinomials. Let's multiply x squared times x squared. That will be x to the fourth power. Now x squared times 2x, that will be positive 2x to the third power. and x squared times 1 will be positive x to the second power. Now negative 2x times x squared, that will be negative 2x cubed. Now negative times a positive will be negative 4x to the second power. Negative 2x times 1 will be negative 2x. Now positive 1 multiplied to these three terms will give you back the same thing because it's a positive. So positive x squared plus 2x and plus 1. Let's go ahead and look for like terms. So x to the fourth power. We don't have any term that has x to the fourth power. So this will be just x to the fourth power. Next, let's find a like term, x to the third power and to negative 2x to the third power. These will cancel. 2 minus 2 is 0. Now x to the second power, x to the second power, and we have x to the second power here. Right, so I can add 1 plus 1, which would be 2, and 2 minus 4 will be 2. So I'll end up with negative 2x to the second power. Now x and x, so negative 2 or 2 minus 2 will be 0. These will cancel to 0, and I will rewrite this constant over here. This is our final answer. Right, go ahead and try solving this trinomial by yourself. You can pause the video and we'll go over the answer together in a while. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's multiply 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Let's add the exponents. That will be x to the fourth power. Now 3x squared times negative x will be negative 3x to the third power. 3 times 4 is 12, and we will have positive 12x to the second power. Now let's multiply 2x times 2x squared. That will be positive 4x cubed. Now 2x times negative x will be negative 2x to the second power. 2x times 4, that will be 8x. Now 1 is positive, and anything multiplied by 1 will give you back that same number. So that will be 2x squared negative x plus 4. Let's go ahead and let's look out for like terms. X to the fourth power, no, we don't have, so we'll just rewrite this one over here. X to the third power, we have another one here, and we don't have any more. So negative 3 plus 4, right, we'll end up with a positive answer, which will be x to the third power. Next is x to the second power and x to the second power. So 12 minus 2. And we have another like term over here. So these two will cancel, and we'll simply have 12x to the second power. Now x and x, so that is 8 minus 1, which will be 7x. And simply rewrite this constant over here, and this should be your final answer. Now you know how to use the fourth method. Thank you for watching.